MLB The Show's long-forgotten game mode, franchise mode, still has plenty of passionate, dedicated players to it. However, the game mode is honestly kind of dead. It is in need of a huge overhaul, a massive update. Let's get into it. So once again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that MLB The Show 19 does release in just a little bit over a month, and obviously everything that they would put into franchise mode, probably already they've, done it already. So the point of me making this video is probably more so for next year rather than this year. Also, I just feel it's a relevant topic talking about franchise mode, being the franchise mode developer live stream is coming up, and I think 2 weeks. This week I know it's the Dynasty one. I believe the next week after that is the franchise one. And of course, I know I mainly talk about Dynasty on this channel, but I honestly do play quite a bit of franchise. I don't really do much with Road to the Show, but I do definitely touch on franchise in multiple different games, such as 2K. I did with Madden, not really so much anymore, but also for sure with MLB The Show. So we are going to get into, I think I have about 5 different features that I think would really overhaul the franchise game mode, because as you guys know just as well as I, the game mode honestly has been really dead. They haven't really added anything new or exciting. I know we got critical situations, I think that was last year or this year, but nonetheless, it really wasn't that great of a feature. All it does is puts you into basically an opportunity in a big situation, which is not really that crazy. I have never used it in my life. But anyway, getting into the first one that I want to talk about, it's expansion teams. Expansion teams is something that I've talked about before on this channel, and it's kind of ridiculous that MLB The Show doesn't have expansion teams, at least to some point yet in their franchise mode. Now, obviously, think about Madden. Madden, I think, has expansion teams. I'm pretty sure they do. I know 2K does with their My League, and you just kind of think it's kind of a base necessity to have for a franchise mode. Eventually, you see with the NHL, they added the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and now I think Seattle got a team as well. They're gonna start developing that in 2021, I believe, something like that. There's talk about the NBA expanding, obviously, to Seattle, where the Supersonics once played. There's a lot of talk about expanding in sports because the leagues are making so much money. Why not try to add more money and add one more location? So I just think expansion teams would be something really cool to see into franchise mode. I know on 2K's My League, I think it's up to 36 teams, so you can only add 6 more, but they also have presets. The thing with 2K that makes it so good is that they have like a community browse logos, which is like MLB's, but you can update things from the internet. So it's just really interesting. You can do a lot more minute details with that, and I just think it would be really cool to see expansion teams to MLB The Show. You can experiment bringing a team back to Montreal. You can do a lot of different things. I just think it would be cool to expand the league. Of course, like I said, because the leagues are ever expanding in real life, it would be cool to do the same on franchise mode. Another cool thing that I'd really like to see added is creating different aspects of your team, rather kind of re-franchising yourself, but not necessarily relocating. Of course, this is something along the lines of what the New Orleans Pelicans did. They stayed in New Orleans, but they just made themselves the Pelicans. They changed their name, they changed their logo, and that's something that I think is really missing in MLB The Show. I know this is, again, something you can do on 2K's My League, and it's something that I've experimented with as well. If you add expansion teams along with this, you can really add a lot of cool new things, because you can make your team really whatever you want. And also, even if you don't add expansion teams, you can still have this, and I know that you guys have all the capabilities, all the tools and details that you guys would need, because we have that availability on Dynasty, to create jerseys, to make new accent colors. If you want to change the Mets from blue and orange for some reason, I don't know why you would. Let me think of a more obscure team without getting anybody's feelings hurt. The Rays, okay? You guys know I'm a Rays fan. If you want to change the Rays colors to pink and purple, you can go ahead and do that. You can reestablish yourself without necessarily having to relocate, and you can also create a new logo. The frustrating thing about this is, like I said, they literally have everything that they would need to do it. They just don't. They have all the capabilities. It's in Dynasty, so I don't know why they can't just put this feature into franchise mode. I know I'm not a video game developer, but it seems like a pretty simple, thing to do, but I would very much like to see it on franchise. Just have a little bit more you know, a little bit more spice to our lives, you know? This one is something I think would be really cool. I have seen a couple other sports franchises do that, and that is manual progression. Of course, if you guys know, the progression on MLB The Show is automatic. So, you know, if this guy has a good year and he's young and has good potential, he's going to get his stats increased. But you don't know what necessarily is going to get increased. That's why I think we should do manual progression. I think all of EA's, I know Madden and NBA Live both have this. What manual progression is, basically, let's take Aaron Judge, for example. If Aaron Judge has a really good season, he ends up getting 30,000 training points. Those training points, you can kind of think of it like Road to the Show. Basically, if the Yankees are your user-controlled team, you can upgrade Aaron Judge however you want. If you don't want him to hit like so many home runs, you can create him into a speed and contact guy. You can kind of mold and shape your players into what you want them to be. This is especially a cool detail if you have like rookies or, you know, prospects that you can really kind of mold them if they're raw prospects, really high potential, but are kind of even on the playing field. They really don't do any one thing particularly great. You can make the player what player you want them to be. If you wanted to be David Ortiz, hits a lot of home runs, not really good fielding, you can do that. I just think it would be really cool. Of course, if you guys do not want to go through the trouble of manually progressing every single player on your team, you can have it. You can have the computer do it. You can have it be automatically done, just how you can have lineups set automatically, your roster moves done automatically. I just think it'd be really cool as a franchise player myself to really have the capability and have the control in my hands how I want my players to grow, not how the automated system decides that they're going to progress. Sticking alongside the same topic of progression and regression, this is more so going to be talking about regression. You've got to fix the logic. It's kind of ridiculous at this point. For this video specifically, I went through franchise and just did a little playing around, and I came up with these notes, alright? So by the year 2019, the 2019 offseason, according to MLB The Show, Edwin Encarnacion is going to be a 61 overall, and he's going to retire. Albert Pujols, 2019, is going to be a 53 overall, and he's going to retire. 2020, Troy Tulowitzki is going to be 61 overall, and he's going to retire. And also in 2020, Jon Lester is going to be 65 overall, and he will be retired as well. These are just 4 examples that happen quite often, and yes, I know, these players are all older. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be regressing. The thing is, how is Jon Lester, who I think at this time in 2020 is 36 or 37, you're telling me he's going to be a 65 overall and he's just going to be out of the league? He's still a pretty decent pitcher in the MLB, so you're telling me in 2 years' time he's out of the league. He's just 65 overall. That doesn't make any sense. And I've done this before, and I've seen Mike Trout, when he gets to like 36, he's pretty much out of the league as well. It's ridiculous. And I actually forgot, I found one more thing with the logic of franchise mode. Nelson Cruz, this is again simulated, but in 2018, he hit 50 home runs, 140 RBIs, and batted .279. Guess what he's doing in 2019? He was a free agent. Nobody picked him up. 50 home runs, he hit .280. Nobody signed him. No, not one person signed Nelson Cruz. He sat the whole season in free agency and then retired the next year due to age, which makes sense because he was 40 years old. What? Nobody wants to pick up a guy who hits 50 home runs and hits .280. Stop. Fix your logic. If that gets in play, it could be a little bit more interesting. But considering teams are kind of dumb and you'd really question their morality when they're making these moves and not picking up a guy like that, and the whole regression factor, rethink the logic, please. And then finally, start today. This is one I know that is in 2K My League once again. I think it's in other ones. This is basically if we're on May the 5th, we can start a franchise May the 5th. And everything will be updated how it is to real life. Once again, you guys know they keep track of all real life stats. And they have their play now live. So I know they pretty much have the capability to do this, and I just think it would be cool. I watch a lot of rebuilds, and I know it'd be interesting considering if you take a team in July who, you know, somebody who's really going to be looking to buy on the trade market, you can maybe push them from maybe a playoff team to contending for the World Series championship, something that would be cool to see. It's not groundbreaking, but just be a cool new feature to franchise mode, which like I said, it's been barren. You know, anything at this point would be a good feature to be added. But that is pretty much going to wrap up this video as for my suggestions and new features that we could see. I just want to note, create a stadium. I do not see that happening this year nor next year. Maybe next year, it's possible, but definitely not this year. We would have known by it by now. It's tough because I know in 2K, it's different because all NBA courts are kind of alike. They all have the same dimensions, not so much in MLB. MLB fields are all different, so it's going to be a lot difficult, a lot different to create a stadium. Hopefully we do see it eventually. I just don't see it happening this year for sure, and probably not next year, but maybe in MLB 21, maybe we'll see it then. Online franchise, of course, as you guys know, is also not going to be in the game, which is frustrating because you guys would think fundamental thing about franchise or any offline game mode, you can also play with your friends. Nope, 2 years in a row, we're not getting online franchise. Too taxing on the servers or whatever. Sure. And the only thing that we know for sure it's going to be in franchise mode is mid-season contract extensions. Just cool. You know, it's kind of ridiculous that we're finally just getting it, but nonetheless, it's cool to see it finally be added. Of course, all the other modes have it, and you know, if you have a player who's doing really good and he's going to be a free agent and you don't want to take the chance of him hopping ship and going somewhere else, you can extend him throughout the middle of the season so he will remain on your roster. But like I said, that will do it for this video. Let me know down below in the comments section all thoughts, comments, concerns, anything about that, any new features that you would love to see added into franchise mode, because trust me, there are a lot of things that they could do with it, and it's frustrating that they don't. You know, they kind of just leave franchise mode alone, which sucks because I know a lot of people play it and a lot of people are passionate about it. So hopefully with our suggestions, they'll hopefully start to develop new ideas for the mode, and it'll be all better for all of us. But if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to like down below. Hope you guys have a great day, and there you guys comes out. Yeet.
Love is love, and hate is hate. To die's an awesome adventure, and I can hardly wait. Earth is a prison, I need a great escape. You know I'm in my zone when I'm up in outer space. You know I'm in my zone when I'm up in outer space. You know I'm in my zone when I'm up in outer space. You know I'm in my zone. You know I'm in my zone. I took a bite of the glory.